Maybe if you didn't shovel in another plate of fries, Mia, someone would actually ask for your number for once. The chipped mug slipped from Mia Roasty's fingers, coffee splashing across the counter and into her lap. Her dress, standard pink diner polyester, a size too snug and stretched at the seams, clung hot and uncomfortable. She froze, bracing herself for more laughter from the two overnight line cooks, but the sharp silence that followed was not hollow. It thudded with something far heavier. Even the rain rapping at the greasy windows seemed to stutter and still. That was when she noticed him. A silhouette, cut from midnight, loomed in the glass pane of the door, rain streaming down the overcoat. The man's presence jarred every seat in the 24/7 Iron Lily diner. Suit ruined, blood soaking his shirt beneath the thick lapels. Even the slow jazz filtering through the glowing jukebox stuttered to a halt. Trembling, Mia watched as the stranger staggered between the sticky tables, hand pressed to his side before collapsing against the neon-lit jukebox. Her heart slammed in her ribs. Every other soul in the half-lit room, the trucker snoring at booth 6, the students pretending not to stare, just watched and waited, measuring their own survival against the cost of interference. But not Mia. She always moved toward disaster. She was already wiping her shaking hands on her skirt, moving toward the fallen man as the outline of a weapon glinted faintly beneath his slumped arm. Mia dropped to her knees beside the stranger, cold tiles biting through hose and skin. His breaths came sharp, mouth set in a grim line against pain, but when his eyes found hers, ice gray, sharp and wild, they did not go glassy. They fixed on her, aware and almost assessing. "Sir, hey sir, can you hear me?" Mia whispered, struggling to keep her tone steady. The man bled steadily from his ribcage, staining her hands as she pressed a fraying bar towel to the wound. Around them, the ambient panic deepened. Forks clattered, and the diner manager, Jerry, hovered by the payphone, stuttering a half-baked excuse of dialing for help. Mia didn't flinch as hot blood dripped over her fingers. "Stay with me, okay? You need a hospital, Jerry. Call an ambulance right now." The man's lips curled in a mirthless smile. "No hospitals," he rasped, voice controlled but rasping with fatigue. His eyes swept the panicking diners, none dared move closer. "They'll finish the job in the ER." A memory flickered, her nana whispering in the kitchen, secrets in rapid Sicilian. Mia leaned closer, dropping her chin so their faces nearly touched. "Do not move, signor, I will take care of this." She said it in Italian, every syllable crisp and soft, her accent molded by childhood lullabies. The Mafia boss blinked, surprised. His hand, twice the size of hers, latched onto her wrist, a grip that wouldn't allow argument. "You're Sicilian?" His tone was a low growl fraught with something like wariness and recognition. Mia nodded, her voice steadying in his native tongue. "La famiglia Rosti, Palermo, you are bleeding out, let me help or you'll die on this sticky floor, please." He studied her for a heartbeat. Finally, he released her just enough to let her secure the towel more tightly. She felt his gaze, calculating, hungry for information. "Name," he murmured low in English now. Mia Roastyy." She darted a glance over her shoulder, adrenaline thundering in her blood. Her broad back blocked him from the windows. He coughed, voice shredded and rough. "Valentino Bianchi," he said, then after a pause, "Keep your hands steady, Mia." She could feel it, every nerve in the diner thrummed. The manager stammered nearby, uncertain whether to listen to the visitor or to the waitress whose weight he'd complained about to anyone who'd listened for 2 years. But now, no one moved. Mia focused on binding the wound, her thick fingers nimble despite the prickling cold from her soaked skirt. Valentino kept his pale gaze latched to her face. "You're not frightened of blood." "Not anymore," she answered. His hand ghosted over hers, weighing her resolve like a merchant weighing gold. "Stay close." The command rooted itself in her chest, raw and possessive. In that shivering instant, the rest of the world faded. She felt him watching her even as she searched for the roll of duct tape, patching the towel to his side. Mia's gaze caught on one detail, his cufflinks, each engraved with a tiny wolf's head. "My nana had a brooch like this," she murmured, mostly to steady herself. His eyes sparked. "Keep your voice like that, Mia, it'll keep me conscious." He said it as if no one else in the room mattered. For a small eternity, a pause between thunder cracks, her world shrank to the pressure of her fingers and the heat of his stare. The slamming of the kitchen door jolted them both. Olivia, one of the student waitresses, stared at Mia over her shoulder, eyes wide and incredulous. Are you out of your mind? That's Bianc. If you touch him, none of us are safe. Mia didn't answer. She finished winding the tape, hands sticky with adrenaline and blood, and stood. Jerry barked from behind the counter, voice trembling, "Leave him, Mia, you'll bring trouble, just let the police sort it out." Trouble had already arrived. Two men, soaked and broad-shouldered under black raincoats, strode in as the clock flicked past midnight. The taller one, the insulter Vance, locked his narrow eyes on Mia, a sneer splitting his sharp face. "Look at you," he jeered, raising his voice so even the friars in the back went quiet. "Trying to play angel, huh? Must be nice to finally be the center of attention for something other than breaking a chair." Laughter spattered the room. Jerry snickered behind the register, fiddling nervously with his keys. Mia could taste humiliation in the back of her throat, raw and sickly sweet. She steadied her breath anyway, folding a napkin one-handed behind her back, an old habit whenever she wanted to keep her hands from shaking. Valentino stirred, lifting himself up an inch. "Enough!" His voice was low, deliberate. The whole diner paused, the threat in that single word undeniable. Vance didn't flinch. "Didn't think a guy like you would need a plus-size waitress playing nurse. You expecting her to save you, boss, or just distract the coroner till your boys come clean up?" Mia's fists curled. She took a careful step between Vance and the boss. "He's not your problem, leave him and me alone." Vance's smirk snapped. He shoved her, not hard enough to topple but firm. She staggered into a booth, catching herself before she hit the ground. The shame bit, but she met his eyes. "Touch me again and you'll regret it." Valentino's gaze was ice and iron. "You lay a hand on her, you leave this place with less than you came with." Each word landed like an oath. Olivia tried to intervene, pushing through the crowd, but Vance only barked louder. "You stay in your lane, Mia. All you do is take up space. Nobody wants you here." Everyone held their breath. The insult hung there, heavy as thunder. In the midst of the chaos, Valentino's phone vibrated. He fished it out, his strong hands shaking more from weakness than nerves, and put it to his ear. He listened, then barked back in Italian, too fast for most, but Mia caught the fragments. "Hurry, now, the Morty crew is moving in." His gaze snapped to Mia's, the pressure of time in every syllable. "They're coming for all of us, you need to hide me now." The room's safety was hanging by a thread. Mia shot a look at Jerry. "I need the freezer key." Jerry sputtered, Why, that's full of stock." She pressed her hand to the heavy metal keys on his ring, plucked them free. "You want blood on your floor, or do you want this handled?" Vance strutted forward, but before he could say more, the growing wail of sirens curved through the night. Mia seized the moment, looping an arm under Valentino's broad shoulders. He was heavy, too broad for her to half-carry, but she gritted her teeth and half-dragged him toward the back. Her feet skidded on oily tiles, but with a last desperate heave, she got him into the industrial freezer as rain battered the tin roof above. Inside, the light flickered over boxes of frozen fries and half-thawed hamburger buns. Mia pressed her palm tight to his side, her breath fogging in the cold. "Hold on," she hissed, retying the makeshift bandage. "I'm not letting you die here." Valentino's hand caught her wrist again, this time gentle. "Why?" he asked, voice a whisper barely audible over the hum of the freezer fan. "Nobody stands up for me, not since I was a child." She met his gaze, unswerving. "When someone came for my family, no one stood up, not even the police. I won't let that keep happening." Outside, footsteps thundered, Vance and another man pounding through the hallway, shouting for Mia by name. She handed Valentino his pistol, the battered Glock, its weight oddly reassuring, then pushed the freezer door behind her. She grabbed a mop, stumbled out, and let her knees knock together as the hitmen stormed in. "What are you doing back here, fatso?" Vance sneered, inches from her face. Mia stammered, I thought I heard rats. Please, I don't want any trouble." The boss, he crawled out the back door, "Swear on my mother." The goons eyed her, really saw her, saw wide hips, trembling hands, and dismissed her. "Pathetic," one spat. "He's probably in the alley." They barreled past her, guns drawn, rain thundering as they shoved out the back. Mia waited 2 beats, then spun on her heel, heart hammering with dread and victory both. She hustled back into the freezer. Valentino was slumped against the wall, paler than before. Still, when she pressed a hand to his cheek, his eyes opened for her. "You have a talent, Mia," he murmured, "not just with bandages." She taped towels tighter to slow the bleeding. "You need help, boss, and you'll get it." He shook his head, managing a low, world-weary smirk. "No, I mean it. Most people freeze in danger. You move." He fumbled in his jacket and pressed a slick black card into her hand, embossed with a golden wolf's head. "If I live, you ever need help, you call that number." She tucked it into the deep pocket of her worn apron, fingers still shaking. "Why trust me?" Valentino's gaze sharpened. "Because when death comes calling, people show their hearts. And you," his voice faltered, but the look in his eyes finished the sentence, "you're the only person in this city who didn't hesitate." Sudden commotion thundered from the diner, screams, shouts, then gunfire puncturing the storm. Mia ducked instinctively, pulling Valentino deeper into the freezer. A man's silhouette filled the open doorway. Broader, dark-haired, gun in hand, Valentino's brother, Luca, followed by three men bristling with weapons. They swept the room, pistols at the ready, before Luca found Mia's shivering form beside his brother. Luca barked, "Where's he hurt?" in accented English, but shifted to Italian as he knelt. "Kai sei tu, who are you?" Mia answered with all the calm she had left. "Mafia Romance, I saved your brother, he's been shot." Valentino managed a tired smile. "She's family, Luca, get her out." Luca nodded, barked orders in Italian, and in a matter of seconds they were bundled from the cold and chaos into the black SUV idling by the curb, tires spinning on wet concrete. As they peeled away from the ruined diner, a monument to fear and loyalty, Valentino's gaze never left Mia. She clutched the boss's card so tightly it pressed half-moons into her palm. Safe inside the world of tailored leather and tobacco cologne, the line between rescuer and rescued blurred. The convoy sped through slashed rain, headlights ghosting through South Philly's battered streets. Mia hunched in a corner, oscillating between dread and disbelief, her skirt stiff, knees smudged with blood not her own. Valentino's bodyguard, Marco, glanced in the rearview mirror. "Where to, boss?" "Home," Valentino croaked. "The estate." The mansion was another world entirely. Marble stairs, golden sconces. Mia blinked, pressed flat against the kitchen wall as armed men filtered past. Valentino refused a stretcher, insisted on limping in under his own steam, Mia all but under his arm. In the sitting room beneath a watchful oil portrait, she stood as still as her nerves allowed. Valentino dropped into a wingback chair, already issuing orders. "Call Dr. Ricks, and," he turned, locking his eyes onto Mia, "nobody questions her." Marco eyed Mia with an up-down glance, lips pressed tight. She knew the look, had seen it every morning in a cafe mirror, judgment weighted with expectation. He started to speak. "She's not," but Valentino cut him with a wave. "She saved my life, that's all you need to know." Mia shifted, smoothing her skirt. Her hands, never small, fumbled with the hem. Valentino's gaze followed the motion. "It's not the first time someone's underestimated you, is it, Mia?" She hesitated. "No, senor, not by a long shot." He nodded, pained. "Who was that man, the one in the diner who tried to use you as a shield?" "My ex," she answered, voice clipped. Didn't like hearing no, thought everyone owed him something. The boss's hand twitched as if it might reach for hers, but he stopped, flexing his bruised fingers instead. "He's lucky I was bleeding," Valentino said, voice granite. "Otherwise, I would have left him nothing but regrets on that sticky diner floor." A slow flush crept up her cheeks, not shame but a flicker of something warmer. She surprised herself by holding his gaze. "You're not the first to say it, but the first who actually meant it." He leaned forward, dangerous and gentle all at once. "No one shames you here, Mia, not in my house." Luca breezed through the hall, phone pressed to his ear. "The Mordis attacked one of our warehouses 20 minutes ago." Valentino's brow furrowed. "How many?" "Enough." Luca handed him a phone. "Enzo says they got help, someone from inside." He cut his gaze to Mia warily, but she didn't shrink from the implication. Valentino barked at Marco, "Get every man ready, now." But then he turned to Mia, voice soft in its threat-laced timbre. "You're coming with us." She blinked me. He nodded, drawing in a ragged breath. Nowhere is safe, and I don't trust anyone I didn't bleed in front of tonight. You'll stay by my side. His hand hovered over the small of her back, not touching but close enough she could feel the heat of his protection. She exhaled, the air shivery and uncertain. If you're sure. He fixed her with a final look, steel underlining the flicker of possessiveness. I am Mia, and from now on, no one lays a hand on you again. That's my word. The mansion's war room was a tableau of tension, maps, ticking clocks, men prowling with violence bristling beneath buttoned shirts. Mia loitered at the threshold, but Valentino summoned her into the circle with a glance. He sprawled at the head of the table, jacket discarded, shoulder patched roughly by the family doctor. His presence magnetized the entire room. Marco approached, flipping a battered notebook open. We intercepted radio chatter, Morty orders in code, something about the Pink Angel. You know anything about that? Valentino's eyes darted to Mia. You ever heard of that name? She shook her head, heart fluttering. No, senor. As the men debated, arguing about codes and alliances, Mia hovered, feeling useless, drifting toward the kitchen for water. In the hall, two lieutenants jabbered in rapid Italian. She's just a big body to block the door, one muttered. Stupid plan, using a cow as a decoy. Mia's cheeks burned, but her ears sharpened. They were discussing her as if she were invisible, as if she could not possibly understand. But she did. She paused where the shadows fell thick, breath-stilling. The code wasn't what it seemed. Angel in Sicilian dialect, a message planted not for decoy but for extraction. She worked the phrasing in her mind, her Nana's words clicking into place. Someone on the inside was partnering with Vance, her ex, coordinating from within the Bianca estate. She stepped fully into the light. You're reading it wrong, she said, voice clear. The men snapped their heads up, half annoyed, half dismissive. The code, they're telling your enemies where to find the traitor. Pink Angel is a signal, not a target. Someone on your payroll is working for Vance, and she stopped, eyes darting to the boss. They're about to walk him straight into your vault. Marco sneered, and what would a waitress know about mafia codes? Mia leaned forward, baring her teeth just enough. Try me. In that radio chatter, did you hear the word Albaru? That means safe in the mountain dialect around Palermo, but if it's paired with Fenestra, it's a warning. Check your south gate. Valentino studied her, surprise awakening to respect. She's right, Luca, the south vault. Luca was already barking orders, men scrambling for weapons. Marco blinked, then focused. She's speaking perfect dialect, never met a roasty who could do that since old Nunzio. That's when Vance's name hit the comms. He was on the estate, tied in with the Morty traitor. Mia's gut went cold. She met Valentino's eyes, steady. My ex isn't here for me, she said. He's here to rob you from the inside. I'll show you which guard is the traitor. Let me prove it. 20 shocked faces swung to the broad-hipped waitress in borrowed hospital shoes. Valentino's voice was thunder wrapped in velvet. You heard her. Mia leads, everyone else falls in behind. She stalked through the mansion, head high now, ignoring the jabs and stares. At the south vault, she stopped abruptly. Room 12, your inside man's name is Pietro. They flung the door open just as Pietro, an estate guard, threw it wide, gun raised. Vance was beside him, eyes wild, pistol drawn. For a heartbeat, all hell froze. Then Luca and Marco tackled Pietro. Vance, cornered, swung wildly, aiming for Mia. But Valentino was faster, stepping in front of her without hesitation. The boss's arm swept protectively in front of her, pistol leveled at Vance's chest. No one touches her, not now, not ever. Vance spat at Mia, enraged. You were always too big to fit anywhere, Mia. Even crime boss's bed too small for you. She met his gaze, steady, articulate. Funny thing about space, Vance, you always lose it to someone real. Luca and two men wrestled Vance's gun away, slammed him to the floor with Pietro. The traitors were disarmed, the code broken. The wolf pack watched, hungry for a verdict. Valentino drew Mia into his side, fingers cradling her jaw so every man saw. She saved us all, he announced, voice ringing out in hard-won awe. That makes her as vital, no more vital than any son I have. The war room buzzed with a newfound reverence. Marco dipped his head. Luca nodded once, approval in his eyes. For the first time that night, Mia's breath came easy. Vance and Pietro never saw the sky again, one handed to the police, the other handled in the way syndicates always do. The Morty offensive melted overnight, their plan foiled when evidence, voice memos, radio logs, stacks of marked bills, surfaced in Vault 12. All of it thanks to code only Mia Rosti could crack aloud. 3 days later, the Bianca estate glowed with candles and music. Valentino healed, stitches and pride both restored. The ballroom's marble gleamed under the chandelier glow, family and capos in black-tied rows. At the center stood Mia, resplendent in a custom-tailored dress, deep magenta, cut to celebrate every soft rise and generous curve. Valentino approached her, offering his arm. When she took it, he held her hand to his lips, a gesture meant only for queens. "You belong here, Mia," he said, publicly for all his world to hear. Luca smiled, holding out a box, a signet ring, wolf's head in platinum. Valentino slipped it onto Mia's finger before the room. "This is my promise. Anyone harms you, they answer to me." Mia's eyes pricked with stunned warmth, but she did not cry. She stilled the crowd with steadiness. "I'm done apologizing for who I am," she smiled, full and bright. "From tonight, I define what fits." The ballroom burst into life, applause rising as the syndicate's new queen claimed the marble floor at her side. If you want more stories of dangerous devotion and impossible triumphs, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. There's always room at our table for one more heart. Mia's laughter mingled with new violins as celebration coursed through the room. Strangers pressed hands into hers, capos whispered Grazie and Benvenuta with reverence. For once, no eyes flicked downward, measuring her as less. The sense of belonging, fierce and bright, left her dizzy with hope. Valentino, leaning in conspiratorially as he led her up the sweeping staircase to the terrace, whispered, "Even my enemies will think twice seeing you wear the wolf." Rain had stopped, leaving the city fragrant and alive beneath them. Far below, the lights of the city winked distant, almost unreal. Mia, remembering pink polyester and spilled coffee, drew a slow breath. She turned to him, voice unguarded. "Do you regret it, trusting someone you barely knew?" His wounded hand traced her cheek, slow and sure. "You were the only soul who saw a dying man, not a mark on the nightly news. That's how I know. Loyalty doesn't come from years, it's a choice, measured in moments when everything could snap." He paused, searching her face for doubt. "Besides, you handled Vance better than half my men." Mia grinned, warmth rising. "Is that so? Well, I don't think your men had to deal with him dropping by their apartment, leaving threats on pink diner slips." Valentino's smile sharpened into something deadlier, protective. "He never will again." She squeezed his fingers, solid, real, unafraid now. "Neither will anyone. You gave me power, boss. I don't intend to waste it." He laughed, wounded but freer than she'd heard before. "Then God help anyone who tries. Will you stay at my side as partner, not just shield?" The words fell into her heart like stones into a well. "I already chose that," Mia answered quietly, turning until she faced the future spread beneath the terrace balustrade. Below, the revelers toasted the wolf's newest queen. Upstairs, 2 survivors clasped hands, united by sweat, blood, and kitchen grease. "Valentino," she murmured, "I used to think I wanted a small life, a corner booth, quiet breakfasts, being left alone, but you gave me a seat at the head of the table. I'll defend it and you with every piece of myself, even the ones I thought didn't fit." He kissed her, slow and certain, drawing her close. "You fit everywhere that matters, Mia Rosti." In the city below, another midnight came and went, but inside the Bianca estate, new legends were born, of a waitress who faced wolves and became one herself. The night pressed on, velvet and timeless. For the first time, Mia did not dread the morning, she claimed it. And if the Iron Lily Diner's neon one day flickered out, well, there'd always be a place for Mia Rosti wherever courage and loyalty were still worth more than gold. She turned from the rain-wet city to the man beside her. "Ready, boss?" she teased. "Let's go inside, I'm starving." He laughed, a true laugh. Then let them bring out everything for my queen. Together, arm in arm, they walked back to the celebration, the wolf and his angel, unafraid of what came next. The party rolled on, laughter and glasses spilling as old rivals toasted under glittering lights, the enmity of 3 nights prior buried by shared survival and Mia's unblinking steadiness. When the violinist launched another tarantella, Luca found her elbow, grinning as he swept her toward the center of the marble, guests clapping in time. You'll need to learn to lead the dance, Luca teased, spinning her once. Now you are capofamiglia too, Mia Sorella. Mia surprised herself with a laugh, light, unstoppable. After what we survived, Luca, they can follow my 2 left feet. Her cheeks still flushed when the song ended and Luca kissed her hand, a brother's salute before yielding her to Valentino once again. The crowd parted as the boss approached, cane in hand, bullet wound stiff but healing. It suits you, he murmured, guiding her gently, the room, the music, the way you make them see you now. His gaze was earnest, stripped bare. But if you ever wish for quieter mornings, I remember what you told me on that rain-soaked night. She shook her head, soft curls catching the chandelier glow. No, I don't want less of this. I want all of it, the good and the ferocious. Besides, I still crave your coffee more than peace. He laughed, pulling her in. Then stay, Mia, help build everything new. The city remembers those who make their own place at the table. The offer, no command this time, settled deep in her bones. She stood tall, surveying the ballroom now filled with family, real and chosen, and nodded. We'll make it ours. They'll talk about the wolf and his pink angel for generations, but I'll make sure they remember I was never just a decoy. Valentino kissed her hand, murmured for her alone, You never were. Outside, morning cracked at the edges of the storm, gold slipping into the city. Inside, Mafia Romance, waitress, codebreaker, queen, at last felt every part of herself accepted and strong. The wolf's den was hers. And so, against all odds, she was no longer the punchline but the legend.